Jake Lloyd once said he wanted a Turbo Man toy with moving arms and legs, a boomerang, a rock'n'roller jetpack, and a voice that sounded real. That wish from a movie set would later feel strangely symbolic, because the real world gave him none of that fun or safety. After his role in Star Wars, he faced something no child should face. Jake was still very young when more than 1,000 hate letters began arriving at his home. Adults blamed him, a little boy, for ruining their childhood. The harsh words were shocking, and the bullying only got worse. But even that was nothing compared to what his family went through in 2018. Their life changed in a way that left deep wounds. Jake disappeared from public life for years. When he finally returned in 2023, he looked so different that many people barely recognized him. Those missing years were filled with pain, confusion, and a fight he was losing quietly. The boy who once played Anakin Skywalker had been struggling in ways nobody saw. Jake Matthew Lloyd was born on March 5, 1989, at Powder Valley Hospital in Fort Collins, Colorado. The city was quiet, surrounded by mountains, fresh air, and open space. His parents tried to build a warm, loving home. His mother, Lisa, worked as an entertainment agent, while his father, Bill, worked as an EMT, helping people in emergencies. They raised Jake and his younger sister, Madison, with strong values. They believed in working hard and encouraged their children to be creative. Jake showed signs of confidence early. At 4 years old, he performed little shows at school and made relatives laugh during family dinners. Fort Collins had small theater groups and youth programs where kids could explore acting. Those spaces gave Jake room to shine. His mother noticed how he lit up every room and how he never froze when people watched him. Money was always tight, but she pushed him forward, hoping to give him a chance at something bigger. Jake began doing local commercials and small TV spots. Even at 4, he acted out full scenes as if he had practiced them for weeks. He memorized lines quickly and loved performing. Lisa took him to workshops and auditions, where adults often stopped and stared because this tiny boy was so confident and talented. When he was 6, he booked a Smucker's commercial in 1995, and things began moving quickly. He joined school plays, community theater, and regional productions. Teachers said he had a natural sense of humor. Directors said he was brave. Every stage made him more comfortable with cameras, bright lights, and the pressure that most adults struggled with. But life changed again when Jake was 7. His parents divorced. The family moved to Indianapolis, Indiana, hoping things would settle down. Instead, the move brought new stress. Bills piled up. Child support payments were inconsistent. Grocery trips were difficult. Lisa relied on her work contacts and rushed Jake into more auditions even before they finished unpacking. Those jobs paid rent and bought food. But they also pushed Jake deeper into the world of fame at an age when he could barely understand it. Later, Lisa admitted that starting him so young was both a blessing and a burden. She wanted to protect her kids from financial hardship, but she was also pushing Jake into a world that was complicated and harsh. By the time Jake reached Carmel High School years later, he carried emotional weight most kids never experience. In school, classmates whispered about him. Teachers noticed how hard he tried to keep up with classwork while juggling acting commitments. At home, there were arguments about auditions that clashed with school tests. He was trying to balance fame and childhood at the same time. Every new experience made him more sensitive to criticism. Even small comments hurt him deeply. The divorce had already shaped him. Court hearings, arguments, and moments no child should witness left emotional scars. Fame only made those scars deeper. The mix of a broken home and sudden celebrity created a childhood filled with pressure and unpredictability. Jake's big break came in 1996, when he was 7. He appeared in 4 episodes of the hit medical drama ER, playing Jimmy Sweet, a boy with a rare illness. The days were long, sometimes lasting 12 hours, and he had to perform emotional scenes beside George Clooney. He cried on cue and asked sad questions about life and death. His voice was small, shaking, but powerful. Everyone noticed his talent. That job opened the door to bigger opportunities. He auditioned for more than 20 roles before landing the part of JJ in the 1996 film Unhook the Stars. Competition was intense, but Jake kept impressing people. Filming required him to show fear, anger, and sadness while standing beside veteran actors like Marissa Tomei, Gina Rowlands, and Gerard Depardieu. Jake walked the red carpet at Grauman's Chinese Theatre before he had even learned long division. At the same time, he worked on 2 episodes of The Pretender, which included kidnapping scenes, chases, and dark hallways. During one stunt, a prop door malfunctioned and almost hit him. The crew paused everything and revisited safety rules. People realized how dangerous such scenes could be for a young child. By late 1996, the workload became too much. He collapsed from exhaustion after long back-to-back days filming ER and The Pretender. His family and union representatives confronted producers about child labor limits. He was only 8 and already burned out. He told his mother he missed birthday parties, friends, and normal days at school. He was tired of being recognized everywhere. He wanted to just sit at a lunch table like every other kid without being asked about auditions. The loneliness he felt at such a young age stayed with him. Then came the project that changed everything, Jingle All the Way in 1996. Jake played Jamie Langston beside Arnold Schwarzenegger. The film made $129 million worldwide. Jamie desperately wanted a Turbo Man toy, and audiences loved his energy. Jake was lively on set, running through store aisles shouting lines, sometimes improvising words that made Schwarzenegger laugh. But there were accidents too. In one scene, he knocked down a huge display of toys, and production stopped for 2 hours while the crew rebuilt the set. The director scolded him lightly but also laughed because it felt like something a real kid would do. Jake made every scene feel alive. The tantrum scene became one of the most memorable in the movie. Jake had to cry for real in 15 takes, using real emotions from arguments with his sister Madison to make the scene honest. The crew saw his tiny face trembling and knew they were capturing something powerful. After the movie released, Jake received more than 500 fan letters. But hidden among them was danger. A stalker sent disturbing gifts, and his mother quickly increased security at home. It was a frightening reminder that fame can threaten a child's safety. Even with all the attention, Jake stayed grounded. In interviews, he said he liked real toys more than Hollywood props. He liked playing with kids his age more than working on sets. Acting didn't feel fun to him anymore. It felt like a job. His honesty showed how heavy fame can be for a child. Around this time, he starred in Apollo 11, playing Mark Armstrong, the son of astronaut Neil Armstrong. The production tried to recreate the moon landing with extreme accuracy. There were replica spacecraft, heavy costumes, and harsh lights. The zero-gravity rigs made actors dizzy. Jake spent hours in the mock command module, sweating and feeling sick, but still delivering his lines. NASA consultants corrected tiny details during filming. Jake had to memorize complicated dialogue taken from real NASA transcripts. During one emotional scene, he added an unscripted line about being afraid of space travel. It came from his real fear of flying on the small planes used during production. The director was surprised because the moment felt real and heartfelt. Older actors like Jeffrey Donovan guided him, teaching him how to stay calm during long takes and repeated scenes. But Jake was still a kid. He sometimes giggled during serious moments, ruining takes. A producer scolded him in front of the cast, and Jake felt embarrassed. Still, he kept trying. His work ethic impressed everyone. His performance earned him a Young Artist Award nomination. Through the heat, long hours, and discomfort, he pushed himself. He didn't know it then, but Apollo 11 prepared him for the biggest role of his life. His growing interest in science and space would soon lead him straight to Star Wars, the moment that changed everything for him. No one knew that the biggest science fiction franchise in the world was waiting for him just ahead. In 1997, when he was 8 years old, Jake Lloyd's life changed suddenly. He joined an audition that had more than 3,000 kids from the US and Europe. All of them wanted the same part, the young Anakin Skywalker. Jake walked into the room without knowing much about science fiction, without understanding what a Jedi was, and without realizing how huge Star Wars was. He read the pod racing scene in a simple, honest way. George Lucas watched him and felt something natural in him, something not forced or overly trained. That real energy made Jake stand out from thousands of others. He didn't know it then, but that one reading was already pushing him ahead of kids who had been acting for years. The callbacks surprised him even more. Many kids who looked perfect on camera and delivered smooth lines were rejected. Their acting felt too rehearsed. Lucas wanted someone who sounded like a real kid, not a tiny adult trying to act grown up. Jake's natural voice and bright confidence matched exactly what Lucas imagined for the young Anakin. His final test with Liam Neeson sealed the decision. Neeson reacted to him warmly and later said Jake had something rare. With that, Jake won one of the biggest roles of the decade. Even though he came from a small town and had never carried a movie before, Lucas worked closely with him during rehearsals. He wanted Jake to understand the emotional meaning behind the Force. One day, during a practice fight, Lucas swung a prop lightsaber a little too fast. Jake lifted his hand, and the edge hit him hard enough to burn the skin. It was a small injury but painful. Jake winced, shook it off, and kept going. That moment shocked the adults around him because it showed how much pressure he was already under and how determined he was to keep going. Before filming began, Jake's family had secret meetings with Lucasfilm. They signed strict agreements and started salary talks. Jake was paid $500,000, a number that would have been unbelievable just a few years earlier. During tutoring breaks, he sketched pod races. His drawings were so detailed that the design team used some of his ideas to adjust props. The crew loved his excitement. They said it felt like working with a kid who wasn't just acting in the Star Wars world, but helping shape it. The casting was supposed to stay secret until the official announcement, but the news leaked. Tabloids found out, and reporters suddenly appeared at his school. Kids who hardly noticed him before now stared at him like he was a character from a storybook. He hadn't filmed a single scene and already fame was putting pressure on him. It was his first taste of how quickly a childhood can disappear when the world starts watching. When filming for The Phantom Menace began in Tunisia in June 1997, the heat reached around 110 degrees. Jake was 10, dressed in a thick costume, sand sticking to him, and a helmet trapping heat. During one podrace scene, he collapsed from dehydration. The crew rushed him into a shaded tent, gave him water, and waited for him to feel better. They asked if he wanted to stop. He shook his head and went back to work. By the end of the day, he had done nearly 20 takes while strong winds blew sand across the set. The shoot lasted almost 2 weeks, and every day tested his endurance. During calmer scenes, funny moments helped lighten the mood. During a long Jedi Council scene, Jake suddenly made a perfect Wookiee roar. Natalie Portman jumped. The crew froze, then everyone burst out laughing. Ewan McGregor grinned and gave a playful warning like Obi-Wan scolding a student. Producers reminded Jake to stay focused, but even they smiled while saying it. These small moments helped him stay sane during the long hours. His voice work took more than 50 hours in the sound booth. One day he added a tiny extra yap after saying yay. Lucas loved it. Some editors said it was too childish, but Lucas refused to cut it. That one little sound stayed in the movie and became one of the lines fans still quote. California labor laws limited how long a child could work. He could only film 4 hours a day, so the entire production had to adjust to his schedule. It caused delays, and some scenes took many days to finish. After one exhausting morning, Jake broke down crying off camera. He was tired, overwhelmed, and carrying the weight of a role no kid his age could fully understand. The crew suddenly realized how much pressure he was holding inside. They wanted to protect him, but they also had deadlines to meet. When filming wrapped in 1998, he kept a small pod racer model from the set. It looked like a toy, but it meant something deeper. He had spent 6 months away from school and friends, living a life he never asked for. The model reminded him how strange and lonely the journey had been. Later he said he just wanted to play like other kids, but instead he lived inside a world controlled by adults. On May 19, 1999, he walked the red carpet at the Chinese theater. He was 10, wearing a suit, lights flashing in his eyes, crowds cheering, and everyone trying to take his picture. The movie made $64 million in its opening weekend and eventually passed $1 billion. Jake became famous overnight. He smiled and waved, not realizing a storm was coming. When critics watched the film, many went after him. Some reviews called his acting wooden. Others claimed he slowed the movie down. Adults on early internet forums mocked him with cruel nicknames. He was too young to understand it, but his mother understood it clearly. Soon threatening letters started arriving at their home. More than 1,000 hateful messages came in. His mother tried to protect him from all of it. His face appeared on toys, cereal boxes, and video games. Kids everywhere played with his character, but the children at his own school bullied him non-stop. They repeated his lines, mocked his voice, and filled hallways with taunts. The pressure crushed him, and he began withdrawing, skipping school, and developing anxiety. Newsweek published a harsh review attacking him directly. Ron Howard reacted angrily. He wrote a public letter defending Jake and calling the criticism unfair. The letter spread across Hollywood as a reminder that no one should target a child. Fan conventions became confusing and painful. Some fans treated him like a hero. Others insulted him openly. In 2002, he needed 8 bodyguards at one event because of threats. His fear grew, and his trust in people faded. Soon afterward, he quit acting completely. The cost had been too high for someone so young. In 2000, Jake won the Young Artist Award. He stood on stage smiling, thanking his family. The cheers lasted a few minutes, but the hate mail did not stop. Some threats were so serious that his family had to take new safety measures. Jake was only 11 when he stepped into one of the darkest roles of his career. In 2000, he played Mickey Cooper in a thriller called Die With Me, a story about a teen pulled into dangerous online situations. The scenes were heavy and too mature for most kids his age. He needed coaching just to separate himself from the trauma his character experienced. The role stayed with him and left him shaken. People still called him Anakin, but this film showed a darker side of him and marked the beginning of his slow exit from Hollywood. His next job, in the movie Madison, filmed in 2001 and released in 2005, didn't help much. He played the son of a racing driver. The set used real go-karts, real speed, and real danger. Jake learned to drive the kart himself. During one scene, he lost control and crashed. He wasn't badly hurt, but production stopped for days. He began wondering why he continued acting at all. The stress, the pressure, the stares, and the whispers tired him out. By the time the movie came out, Jake had already walked away from acting. Fans didn't know then that it would be the last time they saw him in a major film. Even after quitting movies, he tried staying connected to the Star Wars world by voicing Anakin in several video games. At first it was fun, but soon the old stress came back. The repeated lines, the constant corrections, and the feeling of being judged made him walk out of one session. It was his final break from the character that had shaped his childhood in both good and painful ways. By 2001, his heart was no longer in acting. His parents got divorced, and he moved with his family to Indiana. The bullying at school continued. Kids mocked him daily for being Anakin. One day he went home and tore his own Star Wars drawings in anger. That was the moment he knew he was done forever. The world remembered him as Anakin Skywalker, but he didn't want any part of that identity anymore. He came back to the industry only once, and not as an actor. In 2009, he worked behind the scenes as a production assistant on a small film called Peer Pressure. It was quiet and unnoticed, but even then, the weight of his past followed him. Kids still teased him about Star Wars. He finished his job, kept to himself, and left. It was the last time he touched anything related to Hollywood. In 2007, he graduated from Carmel High School and tried studying film and psychology in college. But within months, things started slipping in ways he couldn't understand. He saw things that weren't there. He felt watched even when alone. His mind tricked him. By spring 2008, he dropped out. Doctors later diagnosed him with schizophrenia, a condition that ran in his family. The symptoms came fast: paranoia, hallucinations, fear, and he didn't understand what was happening, so he didn't ask for help. It marked the beginning of a long, quiet struggle. By 2012, he tried attending conventions again to meet fans, but the experience was hurtful. Some adults yelled at him, blaming him for a movie he filmed at age 8. Others mocked him while he tried to be polite. Each event made him shake more. Soon he stopped attending entirely. Then he suffered a deep personal loss. In 2018, his younger sister Madison died at 26. Her death broke him. She had been his comfort, the one who sat with him through his episodes and understood him without explanation. After she was gone, he drifted deeper into confusion. Sometimes he repeated her name during the moments when reality slipped away. His family watched him disappear into silence. His illness and his grief pushed him even further down. In 2015, he had already shown how far he was falling. He was arrested in South Carolina after a dangerous chase. He was terrified, confused, and stuck in a psychotic episode. Police didn't recognize the illness. The court couldn't find space in a mental health facility, so he spent 10 months in jail. No treatment, no medication, and no therapy. His mother later said the system failed him. Instead of help, he received isolation, which worsened his condition. His lowest point came in 2023 on a California freeway. He stopped traffic completely. Cars lined up while he stood there talking to voices only he could hear. His break lasted for hours. He was taken to a hospital and kept in mandatory inpatient care for 18 months. His condition was severe. He refused medication at first because his illness convinced him he was fine. Staff reported violent outbursts and deep delusions. But for the first time in years, he got steady long-term treatment. In January 2025, he entered a new chapter. He left the facility and moved to a rehabilitation center that allowed him some freedom. This time he took medication willingly. He understood his illness and worked with therapists. He said the treatment felt like a cushion that protected him from falling back into chaos. He played video games with his family and went on small outings. His mother finally felt relief watching him try hard to stay stable. At 35, he finally found solid ground. He even found comfort in the same fan community that once hurt him. In early 2025, he said meeting kind fans felt healing. He appreciated their support. He planned to celebrate May 4th by playing Star Wars games with his mother and reconnecting with memories that once caused him pain. The connection he feared now felt warm and safe. Then came a revelation that changed the story people told for years. In 2024, his mother explained that his schizophrenia wasn't caused by bullying, Star Wars, or stress. It came from genetics. It ran in the family and would have appeared no matter what. She said the illness was never his fault. Understanding this changed how people saw his story. It shifted the blame away from a movie or a child and placed it on biology and compassion. By 2025, Jake said he felt pretty good. Not perfect or cured, but steady. He had no plans to return to acting. All he wanted was peace, stability, and a life without fear. With medication, therapy, and strong family support, he could finally breathe. Fans still reached out, and he accepted their kindness without fear. After 2 decades of struggle, he stepped into a life defined not by fame or pain, but by healing and a quiet hope for a better future.